Hey, everybody.
No.
What? Is it not going?
No.
I didn't get a countdown. That's weird.
Well, we're 5 seconds in.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a conversation on the Sermon on the Mount. I don't remember what week we're in.
Four.
Well,
week 4, part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah. It's week 13.
Yeah. Week 13. Like Rich said. I'm just going to repeat everything Rich says for the rest of the day.
Cutting off limbs.
I lied.
I think even to all of our conversations, doing extreme things, is that a temperament or a personality thing? Or is it out of desperation? What causes people to do extreme things?
I feel like there's somewhere there's a study that's probably proves why people do extreme things.
Like you think in extreme sports?
Like all of that. I think I do think skydiving, people do the extreme thing like that for adrenaline or whatever. Is adrenaline always why is that a big part of doing extreme things?
Well, there's the guy that climbed El Capitan with no harnesses or ropes or anything.
Yeah, which can be no adrenaline. That has to be the most calm. He has to be calm.
Yeah, but he said, in the interview, it's that's the only time he actually feels anything. So most of life is so dull to him. Or there's the dudes broken. That do the wingsuits and stuff. They don't really feel fear, and they don't really feel most things in life, and so those are things that help them feel alive. Because there's some truth to you feel most alive when you're on the edge of.
Yeah, that's true. That's like when you're in line at security and your plane is starting to board. You've hit that boarding time. It's I feel alive.
Yeah.
Is that? But there's got to be. That can't be. That's not healthy. So what else causes people to do extreme things?
I don't think it's a healthy versus unhealthy. I think it's a human nature response. You're afraid you're going to miss your plane, so all of your senses are heightened. That's just what that's how we respond. If you're on a hike and all of a sudden a bear is on the trail ahead of you, you are way more aware, because being way more aware helps you survive.
Yeah, but longing for that, probably not.
There's a difference between running into the bear and seeking the bear.
Yes. Yeah, it isn't. There are extreme things aren't always bears. There are people. Extreme.
Correct.
Extreme things aren't always bears.
I'm into skydiving with bears.
It makes everything more extreme.
I want to see that now. I want to see someone skydive with a bear. Red Bull, make this happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or bear.
Red Bull gives you wings. Hope so for the bears.
Yeah. But people that try to think about disc golf. The people that go extremely into it. Why? Is that competitive drive? Is that just physical ability? Nothing else to do?
Well, I think my least favorite, all sports. I don't like watching sports when I know that the people, when it's just raw talent. So disc golf's such a small sport that you can be pretty good at it without actually having any discipline or learning. There's just straight out of college students who can go walk right on tour, and I always root against them. Because I appreciate when somebody's put in the work and the time and the effort, and and I think if you're gonna do, I don't know, my personality is if you're gonna do anything, you might as well do it to the best of your ability.
It's interesting to think about, having good effects or good ability or whatever it is without any energy or effort. It's really rare. Maybe it's not really rare, but
it's a spectrum or a scale. It's some things are just going to become inherently easier to some people over others.
Yeah.
There's just personality traits, temperament, just physical abilities. Some people can just do certain things better.
Yeah. But I think to be guitar playing is a good one. And that is that you can be somebody who knows nothing about the guitar, picks it up, and it's funny how people always do the same thing. They I don't know if you've ever seen somebody play the guitar, doesn't play the guitar. They all look and do the same thing. But then
I like when there's a movie about guitar playing or something, or a show, and the actor, you're like, oh, they don't know how to play guitar.
Yeah, but they have a guitar shot of somebody's fingers, and then you're like, wow, those are not never full shots. But to be to go from nothing to being a guitar player is like actually a pretty short distance. You can figure out strumming a little bit and learn 6 chords, and you can play on 90% of worship bands in the United States.
That says more about worship bands than.
Yes, but that's a measure. But the distance, so to become like a better guitar player, where you can do some bar chords and all that kind of thing, is also quite achievable. But the distance between like the amount of effort that it takes to get to be like adequate to being the best is like there is so much work. So much work goes into that, and extreme sacrifice and change has to take place in order to become the best at guitar or anything.
There's always the rule of diminishing returns, where it's like a graph.
Yep.
Where you don't need a lot of effort to make a lot of strides in the beginning of anything.
Yep.
Mainly because your inability, but then that's why you get like PhD students are doing like they try to explain like their thesis to you, and you're like, this is what.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Coffee is a picture of it. To get to having just simply coffee is pretty easy, but to getting to have the best, like the amount of investment that it
Simply
takes.
coffee.
That was my joke. Oh yeah. It's good examples. There's 2 coffee shops with that name that are on the spectrum.
Opposite sides of the spectrum.
There we go. That's better. But the thing is that the amount of investment that it takes to become adequate can be significant, but to become the best is a huge investment.
I think what I get frustrated when I am adequate at things, and it makes me want to quit. Tiling is a good example. Adequate at tile, and I don't want to put in the effort to get better. But so when I do it, I'm just constantly mad at myself because I'm not as good as I want to be. But it's because of my fault of not putting in the effort to actually be good at it.
Yeah, drywall. But here today, Jesus, he's in the second of this. So you've heard it said statements. Today he says that you've heard it said not to commit adultery. And then Jesus goes next level and he says, but I tell you, anyone who's lustful in their heart has already committed adultery. And then the thing that it's applicable to this reality, but is such an intense thing beyond that I think has to be, again, to working towards internal transition or transformation. He says, well, if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out. If your hand causes you to stumble, cut it off, gouge it off. And then his declaration is better for you to be physically maimed than to, have eternal suffering or separation from God. And this calling is not about physical maiming. I really do believe that Jesus isn't calling us to stab ourselves or others. But I do think that the intense parable in this is that it takes intense external actions to be healthy internally. And I don't think like our culture or whatever. It's like to do intense external actions in order to be internally healthy is not radically celebrated or done even often. Like you can do intense external actions to improve your what's perceived in culture in the world, sure. But to do something that is just for you to be healthy is pretty remarkable. That's it.
Wait, yeah. I think as far as like, I think like when you go to different parts of the country, you see different things that are like more extreme, as in like that perception based. Minneapolis has a lot more runners than Columbia, Missouri, and you notice it externally, but as far as like the quality of people is probably pretty similar between the two cities. But you'll also not find, like in Columbia, there are tons and tons of people who are just involved in farming and like homegrown food things. I don't think as many people that I've met like have hands-on experience with it. Where like I know so many people have backyard chickens and things like that. Like it's all more common. And so, yeah, it's interesting. Just like what you value speaks a lot too to what you're putting what you're putting effort into to make that change.
Yeah, effort, sacrifice, cost. Because again, this is drawing a picture of like it's obvious to see the cost of gouging out an eye, but to be the best at if it's disc golf or if it's cooking or whatever, running a race or at your job, sacrifice is a real thing, and there has to be motivation to do that, and I just hopefully I think this is so much of what Jesus is just really trying to, in extreme declaration, is trying to cause us to do is like, well, what is going to motivate you to be not just not have this act of failure that everybody will see and talk about and judge you about. That's kind of gross to even say, but if you commit adultery, it causes a spiral of people saying. Now, you can do a lot of work to avoid having that moment. And Jesus goes, listen, do something extreme to help be healthy and what no one would see. And that's not just surrounding lust, but like if you just say, think about all these relationship with people things, instead of being like, so instead of physically hurting somebody, pushing them down the stairs, what sacrifices do you need to make so that you actually don't judge people, don't look down on people, that you speak blessing on people. And Jesus is drawing this picture. Do the extreme for even what people will never even see.
Yeah, I think it's also much more common as like we've got a better understanding of psychology and just how people's inner worlds work. I think the idea that somebody's external unhealth is preceded for oftentimes for years by internal unhealth.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things, like this extreme effort to have internal health moves the bar in a really good way. And I think that's something that we all need, is that internal bar of health being moved for us.
But Jesus, he looks at the Pharisees and he goes, wow, you guys are working so hard on cleaning the outside of your cup while the inside is nasty. Clean the inside, the outside will be fine. And so what a great picture in that. I like it. It's interesting. Initially, I couldn't see some of the connection in this, but in Luke chapter 12, Jesus is again talking to a large group of people, and it's like there's this weird interruption. He's teaching, and all of a sudden this person comes up and goes, "Tell my brother to give me my inheritance." Jesus' response, doesn't seem very godly. Like, not godly, but like as God. Jesus says, "Who appointed me to be judge or arbiter between you two?" I'm like, well, if you're God, isn't that kind of your thing? But then he really was a declaration like, this is ridiculous that you're asking me to make this decision. Let righteousness make this decision. And then he gives a watch out, which is like an arbiter thing. Watch out, be on guard against this thinking that life starts and ends with stuff. And the external, like getting, wanting, having. And then Jesus shares the parable of the farmer who is blessed and says, I just need to build bigger barns to have more. And then at the end, the guy builds the bigger barns, has all the stuff, and he dies. And what was that all worth? And again, that holding that and going, externally, you can have all these things and look like everything is good. But what really does have value that's a complicated question, and it shouldn't just be answered for us. But what really does have value, and then what are you gonna like? What is sacrifice to have healthy value in that, and then what's going to motivate you, Ricardo?
I mean, it's the thing we've been talking about all year. Shows up in this with the what you do informs what you are, which informs what you do. And I think the outward and the inward work together in that we might not see an outward thing until something has happened inside, for good or bad. But just looking at it and looking at how they work together, I think it's just a new level of this verse of don't just have an inward thing that then you cut off and there's an outward thing and people look and go, oh, there it is. But I think even take it a step farther and have the the inside things that then impact the outward things for better. So that's just like talking through it. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, and that's what we can strive for and can call out and look for and encourage. It's important.
Good. We'll see you guys next week.
See you.